All right, so one of my number one favorite wild edible plants to harvest here in Alaska is the bluebell. The scientific name is Mertensia paniculata. There's also a type that grows in the States that's Mertensia Virginica. That's about the same. So the nice thing about these, I've been eating them since I was a kid. I grew up on these. They are very abundant, easy to find, easy to identify, and they taste good. They're related to asparagus, so they're a perennial, come back every year. And they are also very easy to get a lot of. And they taste like, uh, can't really describe it, but you can do anything that you do with spinach, you can do with these. I wouldn't recommend eating the leaves raw because they're a little bit fuzzy. If you cook it, the fuzz dissolves and goes away, and you don't even notice any issues like that. The stem, when it gets older, gets a little bit woody. The flavor doesn't change, but it gets woody, so it's not appetizing. But the leaves are good to harvest all year round. So that's a nice thing about it. It's very reliable food source. So during the summer, anywhere, all summer long, you can find it in Alaska. And what you can do to harvest it is you pick it, you take your hand, grab the top, swipe down like that, and there you have a handful of leaves. I can gather enough for a meal in a matter of half a minute. Uh, Another way to harvest it is around the bases of these. They have a row. These are a little slender, but especially early in the spring, they'll have leaves that grow around the bases of the plants because they are a perennial and they grow through the roots as well. So they'll have solitary leaves that grow next to them. So you can pick these as well. And what that allows is it allows the flowers to go to seed so that they can continue spreading the next year instead of just growing up from the same root. But you can just pick them from the stem as well. Another thing that can be used is the flowers, which are kind of sweet. They have like a sweet nectar, so you can just pop the flowers off and eat them. They taste sweet. They're good. Now to the important part, identifying them. So to identify them, now their name kind of gives them away. The flowers are shaped like a bell and they are sky blue. The immature flowers are pink. Sometimes when they're really old and mature, the flowers will almost turn white blue, like they're very pale. Um, and then the stems themselves, the stock is a round stalk. It's not really square, doesn't really have corners or edges that much. Maybe slightly. It's kind of hard to feel any edges. Um, and it's a one straight solid stalk generally. The branches for the flowers will branch off at a Y angle, so they'll never go straight out. They'll always go at an angle. Another thing is at the base of each of these little branches shooting off, usually there's a leaf at the base. And then the leaves themselves, on the older ones, they are shaped kind of like a torpedo shape. They come to a point. They don't have a rounded leaf. They have a pointy leaf. The veins in it run almost at the same shape as well. The leaves are kind of fuzzy as well as the stems. The stems are a little bit fuzzy as well. And on the back side, so on the top, it's Kelly green, so a bright, vibrant green. On the underside, it's a more of a flat, dull green. And then for the rosés, you can tell the difference. The leaves that are growing around the base of the bluebell plant, they are a little bit different proportions. So if you look at the leaves on the stalks, see how they're a little bit more slender and a little bit more pointy. These ones are fatter. They have more girth to them. So it's a bit more of a gradual point. As you can see, maybe this one's a little bigger. But if you can tell the difference, and there's the point, there's the shape, and then there's this one. So that is how you identify them. As far as the smell, they have a pretty unique smell. So if you need to identify the ones on the ground, if you're not confident enough to identify them, the solitary leaves by themselves, because they will grow by themselves. You might have a random leaf like right here growing, and if you have trouble identifying them, you can find one with flowers, which makes it a lot easier to identify, and you can smash up the leaf and smell it, and it has a very unique smell. So you can use it to identify the other ones that are by themselves. As far as the flowers go, as far as their orientation, they're always, if you look at it, the top is bent over, and they're always facing down, like a bell would, like a church bell would. It'd be facing down, so they don't fill up with rainwater. So they're always upside down like that, dangling, and they kind of grow in like clusters like this, almost kind of like grapes do. They grow in clusters instead of, they generally don't grow as solitary flower. And then, so the harvest time is basically all summer long. You can harvest the leaves. So if you look here, sometimes you'll find just random patches in the woods with no flowers around them, like this. You'll just find these leaves like this, and you can harvest these all summer long. Other times, when these are younger, and then these leaves, you can come over here to the plants, and you can pull the entire plant up, wipe the leaves down, get a handful of leaves. You can harvest them like that. And the leaves you can harvest all summer long. The stems you can eat in the early spring when they're about that tall. They're not woody yet, they're still tender, and they have a lot more leaf on them. You can harvest the stems as well, but that's only in the spring. And then the flowers you can harvest as whenever they're out. If there's flowers there, you can pick them, you can eat them. And you do not have to cook bluebells. They're more appetizing if you do. And they're pretty nutritious. And that's, I ate this for 20 years growing up. It's pretty good stuff. And let's see here. There are no lookalikes to my knowledge. I've never ran across a lookalike. That doesn't mean that there isn't. Now, they grow in environments where other plants grow, of course. So this flower, it grows in the same environment, but you can tell the difference. I'll pick another one of these so it's fresh. So this flower, which grows in the same environment, same areas, it's purple. The bluebell is blue. It's that unique sky blue color. It grows in clusters of flowers, just like this does, but the flowers are purple, and the flower does not look like a bell in any way. As you see, purple flower, bluebell flower. This looks like a bell. This one does not. Another difference is the leaves are extremely different. You have leaves that splay out like that, whereas this is a bluebell leaf. Another difference is the smell is different. And it's a lot more slender and a lot less leaves on it. As you can see, on a stalk this length, you have one branch, two branch, and some leaves. Very few. Whereas on this one, maybe a little bit taller, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have a dozen leaves there. And so that's how you identify them. Just remember, if you are not sure about a wild plant, research more about it before trying it, and only consume wild edible plants at your own risk. If you do not know, then do not take the risk. If you have any questions as far as identifying them or how to cook them or other plants, please comment below and ask your questions below, and I'll try to answer them. And if you like this type of comment, this kind of content, then like and subscribe and comment, and that way I can keep making these videos, and I'll try to make this into a series if you guys like these, and I'll probably try to do like my top 10 wild edible plants to harvest. The ones that are reliable food sources. There's other wild plants, but I'll give my favorites that are the most reliable to put food on the table. Because groceries are expensive right now. So like and subscribe.